I'm gonna break down the 7 foods you should be eating every single day if you wanna help keep your arteries clean, your blood flowing, and your risk of heart disease as low as possible. Let's dive in. If there's one food that deserves a permanent spot on your plate for cardiovascular health, it's wild-caught salmon. Here's why. Salmon is packed with long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. These are the same compounds you see in high-quality fish oil supplements, but in their most natural whole food form. Now, what do they actually do for your arteries? Well, firstly, they lower triglycerides. So omega-3s from salmon have been shown in dozens of clinical trials to lower triglyceride levels by 20 to 30% in people with high levels. Lower triglycerides equal less fatty traffic in your bloodstream. Secondly, they also support HCl function. EPA and DHA improve the efficiency of HCl, which is the cholesterol shuttle that cleans out your arteries. HCl is renowned for its cardiovascular protective traits. Thirdly, they reduce inflammation and plaque instability. Omega-3s lower inflammatory cytokines, making arterial plaques much less likely to rupture. A fourth benefit is the improvement in endothelial function. They help keep the lining of your blood vessels more flexible and responsive. And finally, they stabilize heart rhythm. Populations with high fish intake have far lower rates of sudden cardiac death. But let me give you a concrete example from the research. The Gissi Prevenzione trial. This was a landmark clinical trial out of Italy, published in The Lancet. Researchers followed over 11,000 patients who had recently survived a heart attack. They split them into groups, and one group was given 1 gram of EPA and DHA every day. The same omega-3s you'd get from eating fatty fish like salmon. The results? After just 3.5 years, the group taking omega-3s had a 20% reduction in overall mortality and a 45% reduction in sudden cardiac death. That's not a subtle benefit, that's a massive protective effect, simply from making sure the body gets enough of these essential fats. And remember, those were the supplemental doses. When you eat real wild-caught salmon 2 to 3 times per week, you're providing your body with a natural food-based source that delivers EPA and DHA alongside protein, vitamin D, selenium, and antioxidants that work synergistically to protect your arteries. Bottom line, wild-caught salmon is one of the most powerful science-backed foods you can eat to help keep your arteries clear and your cardiovascular system strong. Next up on the list is one of the simplest and most versatile foods you can add to your diet: avocados. Now, most people think of avocados as just a trendy brunch item for smashed avocado on toast, but the truth is they are a cardiovascular powerhouse. Here's why. Avocados are rich in monounsaturated fats. They are loaded with oleic acid, the same heart-healthy fat found in olive oil. These monounsaturated fats help lower LDL cholesterol, especially the small, dense LDL particles that drive plaque formation, while maintaining and potentially raising HDL cholesterol. Avocados are also packed with potassium. One avocado has more potassium than a banana. Potassium helps you regulate blood pressure by balancing sodium levels and relaxing the walls of the blood vessels. Lower blood pressure means less strain on the arteries. Another benefit of avocados is blood sugar stability. The fiber and healthy fats in avocados slow down digestion, keeping blood sugar levels nice and steady. Why does this matter? Because constant blood sugar spikes damage the endothelium and accelerate atherosclerosis. Avocados are also anti-inflammatory and antioxidant rich. They contain carotenoids like lutein and phenolic compounds that reduce oxidative stress, the same stress that causes LDL cholesterol to oxidize and become dangerous. So what does the science say? The HAT study, published in the Journal of the American Heart Association in 2022, researchers ran a year-long randomized control trial with over 1,000 participants. They had one group eat an avocado every single day while the control group kept their normal diet. After 12 months, the avocado group showed lower LDL cholesterol levels and significantly improved measures of cardiovascular health compared to the control group. Importantly, these benefits came without any negative impact on weight or body composition. So adding an avocado didn't cause overeating or fat gain. That's powerful. Just one avocado a day made a measurable impact on heart health markers in a large population. Bottom line, adding avocados to your daily meals supports a healthier cholesterol balance, steadier blood sugar, better blood pressure, and reduced inflammation, all of which add up to arteries that stay healthy and clear for longer. Food number 3, leafy greens. When it comes to supporting clear arteries, few foods are as underrated as leafy greens like rocket, watercress, and spinach. Why? Because these greens are some of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrates. Here's what that means for your cardiovascular system. Number 1, it boosts nitric oxide production. Once you eat nitrate-rich greens, your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide, a signaling molecule that tells your blood vessels to relax and widen. Wider vessels equals lower blood pressure and smoother blood flow. Number 2, it reduces arterial stiffness. As we age, arteries naturally get stiffer, which increases the risk of hypertension and atherosclerosis. Nitric oxide helps keep vessels elastic and responsive. Number 3, it improves endothelial function. Remember the endothelium we've already mentioned? That delicate inner lining of your arteries? Nitric oxide is one of its key protectors, reducing oxidative stress and preventing LDL particles from sticking and forming plaques. And 4th, it lowers blood pressure naturally. Unlike medications, nitrate-rich vegetables lower blood pressure without side effects because they're working with your body's own signaling pathways. Now, here's the science. The DASH and nitrate studies. Multiple clinical trials have shown that diets rich in leafy greens improve cardiovascular health. But one of the most striking was published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. In this study, participants who ate high nitrate vegetables like spinach saw a 25% increase in plasma nitric oxide and a reduction in both systolic and diastolic blood pressure within just a few weeks. And another fascinating trial looked at beetroot juice, which works through the same nitrate pathway as leafy greens. The findings? Drinking beetroot juice daily significantly improved endothelial function and blood pressure in people with hypertension. That's the exact same pathway activated when you eat a big serving of rocket or watercress. Bottom line, whether it's spinach in your smoothies, rocket in your salad, or watercress as a garnish, making leafy greens a daily habit is one of the simplest, most science-backed ways to increase nitric oxide, keep vessels flexible, and improve blood flow. Food number 4 is extra virgin olive oil. Another staple for heart and artery health is extra virgin olive oil, the cornerstone of the Mediterranean diet. This oil isn't just a source of healthy fats, it's loaded with polyphenols, powerful plant compounds that act as antioxidants and protect the endothelium. Here's how extra virgin olive oil supports the cardiovascular system. Firstly, as I've just mentioned, it protects the endothelium. Polyphenols like hydroxytyrosol and oleuropein reduce oxidative stress and prevent LDL particles from oxidizing, which is the first step in plaque formation. Secondly, it improves cholesterol balance. Regular olive oil intake lowers LDL cholesterol while maintaining or even boosting HDL cholesterol. More importantly, it improves LDL quality, making particles less likely to become small, dense, and dangerous. Thirdly, it has an anti-inflammatory effect. Olive oil polyphenols act similarly to a mild natural anti-inflammatory, reducing CRP and other pro-inflammatory markers linked to atherosclerosis. It also supports healthy blood pressure. Studies show olive oil helps improve nitric oxide availability, which widens blood vessels and lowers blood pressure naturally. The pre-dimed study. This landmark Spanish trial followed over 7,000 participants at high risk of cardiovascular disease. One group was assigned a Mediterranean diet supplemented with extra virgin olive oil. Another group got a Mediterranean diet with nuts, and a third followed a low-fat control diet. After nearly 5 years, the group consuming extra virgin olive oil had a 30% lower risk of major cardiovascular events, including heart attack, stroke, and even death compared to the low-fat diet group. That's a massive reduction, and it wasn't from pills or medications. It was simply from making extra virgin olive oil a part of their daily meals. Bottom line, drizzling olive oil over your salads or vegetables is one of the most proven science-backed ways to protect your arteries and lower cardiovascular risk. But one thing to be aware of is that olive oil, like many other oils, when heated to high temperatures, can become rancid and carcinogenic. So it's always best to use it as a topper on a salad or onto foods that have already been cooked rather than cooking with it directly. Next on the list, we have walnuts, and these little powerhouses pack a big punch when it comes to cardiovascular health. Here's what makes them so special? Firstly, they contain plant-based omega-3s, ALA. Walnuts are the richest nut source of alpha-linoleic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. While ALA isn't as potent as the marine omegas from the salmon, your body can convert some of it into EPA, which helps lower inflammation and supports healthy cholesterol balance. Walnuts also provide L-arginine, an amino acid that's a direct precursor to nitric oxide. More nitric oxide means better vasodilation, smoother blood flow, and lower blood pressure. These nuts are also loaded with polyphenolic compounds that reduce oxidative stress, again protecting LDL particles from becoming oxidized and dangerous. Walnuts also improve lipid profile. Multiple studies show that eating walnuts regularly lowers total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol while improving HDL and triglycerides. Now for the science. The WAHA study, Walnuts and Healthy Aging. Published in Circulation in 2021, this randomized controlled trial followed over 700 older adults for 2 years. One group added about half a cup of walnuts to their daily diet, while the control group completely avoided them. The results? The walnut group had significant reductions in LDL cholesterol, especially small, dense LDL particles that drive atherosclerosis. They also showed improvements in overall cardiovascular risk markers. These benefits happened without participants gaining weight, even though walnuts are calorie dense. The healthy fats, protein, and fiber kept them satiated and actually improved metabolic health. Bottom line, a handful of walnuts a day, about 30 to 50 grams, provides plant-based omega-3s, nitric oxide, boosting L-arginine, and antioxidants that work all together to support clearer arteries and a healthier blood flow. Now let's tackle one of the most misunderstood foods when it comes to heart health: eggs. For decades, eggs, especially the yolks, were demonized because they contain dietary cholesterol. People were told to avoid them to protect their hearts, but here's the truth. Modern science has shown that for the vast majority of people, eating eggs does not raise cardiovascular risk. And this is because dietary cholesterol has very little bearing on internal cholesterol levels. In fact, eggs, despite containing high amounts of cholesterol, may actually support cardiovascular health. Firstly, eggs are packed with choline. Choline is an essential nutrient that supports liver function and lipid metabolism. It helps keep homocysteine levels in check, a compound linked to higher cardiovascular risk when elevated. Eggs are also rich in lutein and zeaxanthin. These carotenoids are antioxidants found in the yolk of eggs. They reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, protecting the endothelium and LDL particles from becoming oxidized and dangerous. Multiple studies show that eggs can increase HDL cholesterol levels, the good cholesterol that helps shuttle fats out of the arteries. Eggs are also high in quality protein, providing essential amino acids in a bioavailable form, supporting overall metabolic health, muscle mass, and stable blood sugar. So what does the research say about eggs? The Harvard study on eggs and heart health. Published in the BMJ in 2020, researchers followed over 200,000 men and women for up to 32 years. They found that eating up to 1 egg per day was not associated with a higher risk of heart disease. In fact, in some populations, egg consumption was linked to a lower risk of stroke. Bottom line, for most people, eating an egg a day, yolk included, is perfectly safe and even beneficial for cardiovascular health. The key is moderation and context. Pair eggs with vegetables and healthy fats, not with processed meats or fried foods. That way, you'll reap the benefits without the risks from what is really a superfood jam-packed with goodness. Finally, let's talk about one of the most controversial foods on this list: meat. For years, red meat like this has been painted as the villain in heart disease, but the truth is much more complex. The real problem isn't the meat itself, it's the type of meat, the quality, and usually what it's paired with. Here's why lean, grass-fed meat like this can actually support cardiovascular health when eaten in the right context. Firstly, grass-fed beef, bison, or lamb are rich in high-quality protein, iron, zinc, and B12, all essential for energy, oxygen transport, and metabolic health. They also contain creatine and carnosine, compounds that support muscle and brain function. Compared to grain-fed meat, grass-fed varieties have more omega-3 fatty acids and conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, which may help reduce inflammation and support healthier lipid profiles. Another benefit is the quality protein. Adequate protein intake helps maintain lean muscle, stabilize blood sugar, and reduce visceral visceral fat, all key drivers of cardiovascular risk when neglected. Let me tell you about our client Graham, 57 years old, concerned about his cardiovascular health after a recent blood test showed his LDL cholesterol over 5. The doctor wanted to put him on statins. He didn't want to go down that route as he knew once he'd started, very few men ever turn back. So he started working with our team to address the issue at the root. And of course, we included all of the foods we've already mentioned here, but he was extremely concerned when he saw that we were suggesting that he consumed red meat daily in the form of high quality unprocessed beef. He'd heard all of the misinformation around how red meat causes heart disease and high cholesterol, but the information that he had not been privy to, like most people, was that this data was based off low quality processed red meats. And credit to Graham for trusting in the process. He followed the diet immaculately, consuming his daily serving of beef, eggs, and all of the cardiovascular powerhouses we've already mentioned. And within 4 months, he'd reduced his LDL cholesterol numbers into healthy ranges. His doctor, after warning him about the red meat protocol he was about to start, didn't know what to say when seeing his latest blood test results, except whatever you're doing, keep doing it. She even took it upon herself to go away and do her own research on the differentiation between the types of red meat that do cause cardiovascular risk versus the ones that are actually beneficial. And she came back and agreed with our stance. So where did the negative reputation come from for red meat? The issue is really two things. Firstly, it's that processed red meats like bacon, sausages, or burgers, which are combined with all sorts of chemicals, nitrates, and other harmful compounds, are often placed into the same bracket as unprocessed high quality red meat like steak or lamb. Secondly, it has a lot to do with what meat is often consumed with. Think about it, most people aren't eating grass-fed steak with a big salad and olive oil. They're eating highly processed red meats with fries cooked in seed oils, sugary sauces, refined carbs, and alcohol. It's the package deal, not the meat itself, that fuels atherosclerosis. This is what makes research around human nutrition very difficult to create absolute answers with. It's the argument of causation versus correlation. Now, what does the science show about red meat? The Pure study. This massive global study tracked over 135,000 people from 18 countries. The findings: moderate consumption of unprocessed meat was not associated with higher cardiovascular risk. The real dangers came from ultra-processed foods, refined carbs, and trans fats. Bottom line, lean, grass-fed meat can be part of a heart-healthy diet, especially when paired with vegetables, olive oil, and whole foods, not with fries, sodas, and fried sides. Quality and context are everything when it comes to red meat. So if you're at all concerned about your cardiovascular health in any way, or you just want to feel great every single day because your body is well nourished, then consume these foods as often as you can. And let's be honest, why would you not want to consume these foods when you can eat like this? For breakfast, you could have steak and eggs with a side of spinach. You could also have wild caught salmon with a side salad with avocado. We've got some beetroot in there as well. We've got some walnuts. Then we have our dressing of olive oil. You could also have wild caught smoked salmon with a side of eggs and a side salad of leafy greens. You could also have real burgers made with organic ground beef, a side of homemade chips, and a salad full of all of those heart health powerhouses. Imagine how good you'd feel and how easily you'd be able to stick to your diet if you could consume meals like this every single day, and it's going to be one of the best things for your long-term cardiovascular health. Now, one of my favorite sayings is you can't get dry in the shower, and this is incredibly relevant to the topic of today because although we will have huge impact on our cardiovascular health by eating all of the foods that we've already spoken about, there are also some hidden so-called healthy foods which you may be consuming daily that are actually damaging your cardiovascular health. Here are some hidden healthy foods to avoid. Now, before you go loading your plate with all of the foods I've just mentioned, we need to clear up a big mistake I see all of the time. There are certain foods marketed as heart healthy that actually do the opposite. They inflame your arteries, disrupt your cholesterol balance, and accelerate plaque buildup. Here are some of the biggest offenders. Number one, industrially processed seed oils. Things like soybean oil, rapeseed oil, or corn oil are all often marketed as heart healthy because they lower LDL cholesterol in the short term. But here's the catch. They are are packed with omega-6 fatty acids, which in excess fuel inflammation and make LDL particles more likely to become oxidized, the exact trigger for atherosclerosis. Number 2, low-fat or fat-free processed foods. For decades, we were told to avoid fat, so companies created low-fat yogurts, dressings, and snacks. The problem? When you take out the fat, you have to replace it with something, and that something is almost always sugar or refined starch, which spikes insulin and damages the endothelium. Number 3, fruit juices and smoothies. These sound healthy because they come from fruit, but without the fiber, fruit juice is basically a blood sugar bomb, flooding your system with fructose that overworks your liver and promotes fat buildup around your organs. Number 4, plant-based foods. Not all plant-based food is good for you. Ultra-processed meat substitutes, soy protein isolates, and fake health bars like this often come loaded with refined oils, additives, and sodium that have nothing to do with cardiovascular health. Number 5, granola and healthy cereals. Marketed as wholesome, most are loaded with added sugar, processed grains, and seed oils. A quick way to start your day with inflammation and an insulin spike. Long story short, it's not just about adding the right foods, it's about avoiding the imposters that look healthy but quietly accelerate arterial damage. Stick to whole, unprocessed foods like the ones we've covered, and you'll be miles ahead of the average diet. Now, I'd be lying if I told you that food alone is enough to keep your arteries clear. Nutrition is critical, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. Your daily lifestyle habits can either accelerate all of those benefits or undo them completely. Here are some science-backed lifestyle tips that make a massive difference for cardiovascular health. Number 1, move every day. You don't have to run marathons. Even brisk walking helps to keep the pipes clean, the arteries, the blood flowing through them, reducing the amount of fatty deposits that build up, lowering blood pressure, improving insulin resistance, and just improving overall circulation, reducing your cardiovascular risk. Movement will also help to stimulate lymphatic fluid. Lymphatic fluid will help to bring down the inflammation levels in the body, which we all know, as we've previously discussed, leads to that buildup of plaque inside the arterial lining. Number 2, protect your sleep. Poor sleep will lead to higher blood pressure, higher cortisol, and higher systemic inflammation, all of which will damage the arterial lining, increasing your risk of cardiovascular disease. Ensure you are sleeping for 7 to 9 hours of high quality sleep to ensure your health is in the optimal place to protect yourself against plaque buildup. Number 3, cut excess alcohol and smoking. Both directly damage the arterial lining and lead to oxidation of LDL cholesterol. Eliminating both of these is one of the fastest ways to improve your cardiovascular health. Number 4 is regular strength training. Strength training will help to improve lean muscle tissue, improving overall metabolic health and reducing any cardiovascular risk. Pair it with some form of cardio like rowing, running, swimming, or any form of HIIT, and you've got the best of both worlds for vascular health. Number 5, manage your stress. Chronic stress will drive up cortisol and adrenaline, elevating your blood pressure and increasing the likelihood of plaque buildup. Things like meditation, breath work, vagus nerve stimulation, or just getting out walking in nature frequently can all provide measurable improvements in endothelial function. Number 6, stay hydrated with water and a good source of electrolytes to allow your body to actually utilize the water within the cells. Electrolytes are essential for that. Any form of dehydration will thicken the blood and cause stress to the cardiovascular system, restricting blood flow and allowing these waste products to build up within the arteries. Think of your lifestyle as the environment that your arteries live in. The right foods give you the building blocks, but daily movement, sleep, stress management, and avoiding toxins keep your blood vessels clean and resilient for the long haul. Now, at this point, you may well be asking the question, Dom, why should I listen to you? The truth is, you don't have to take on board anything that I've just said if you don't want to. However, everything I've explained in this video, it's not my opinion. It's all backed by data and research. And it's all worked for hundreds of clients me and my team have worked with who have been concerned about their own cardiovascular health. You've already heard about Graham, but we also have Matt, who was able to come off all of his medications and feel 15 years younger. In his words, then we have Andrew, who was on 4 separate medications for different metabolic and cardiovascular issues, and he'd been on them for nearly 20 years. But in just 7 months, he was able to come off all of them. These are just a few of the guys that have been able to completely reverse their cardiovascular issues through the lifestyle adjustments explained in this video. And remember, we're not shooting in the dark here. We're running extremely comprehensive blood testing to identify the root issues within our client's health. Then we're supporting these systems systems back into optimal using targeted, precision-based lifestyle changes like what we've already spoken about in this video. No guesswork, no opinions or ideologies, just data from their body. And look, I truly hope that this video has been of great value to you today. However, as I always say, information without implementation is pretty useless. And so if you want to stop wasting your time watching videos like this, talking about how to get fit, healthy and lean, and you actually want to make it happen for yourself, then click the link in the description to check your eligibility for our blood optimization system. And if it makes sense to the both of us, we can start you on that path. If not, that's absolutely cool. Just click subscribe and keep making the most out of all of the free information I share on my YouTube channel.